All right, so these weeks we're coming into the Parshas of Shemos ve'Eira Bai, the stories of the stories of Galus Mitzrayim, Yitzias Mitzrayim, Pesach. All right, so if you sort of take a step back and you look at the general sort of flow of these Parshas, the way it works is that there's sort of the redemption from Mitzrayim. The actual Galus of Mitzrayim is only discussed sort of in the beginning of this Parsha. There's no full Parsha dedicated to the Galus. So the Geula already begins to unfold at the end of the Parsha. In the process of the Geula from Mitzrayim, it sort of is in two stages. You have the 10 plagues, the Eser Makos, which is in Parshas Ve'era and in Parshas Bo. And then after the 10 plagues, after the Eser Makos, then you have sort of the next part of the Geula, which is Kriyas Yamsuf, and that's in Parshas B'Shalach. So again, sort of from a bird's eye view, Geulas Mitzrayim is in two stages. You have the Eser Makos, sort of that took place in Egypt proper, and then you have the next stage, which is Kriyas Yamsuf. And the question is, like, what does that tell us about the process? Why did the Rebbeinu Shalom make it that we get out of Mitzrayim in such a way where it's in these two stages? Again, the 10 plagues, and then this other event called Kriyas Yamsuf. I mean, if Hashem wanted to, 10 Makos could be enough. If he wanted to, he could have just gotten us out with that Makos. So what exactly is the lesson over here? All right, so in the Parsha, when Moshe Rabbeinu was first introduced to Hashem, by the burning bush, so the Rebbeinu Shalom tells Moshe Rabbeinu that, I'm sending you on a mission to go take Klal Yisrael out of Mitzrayim, and the purpose of why you're taking them out is what's the plan. Okay. So it's interesting. The first thing that Moshe Rabbeinu was told is that Hashem Yisbarach tells Hashem tells Moshe that I want to take the Jewish people out, and I'm going to bring them to Eretz Yisrael. I'm going to bring them to Eretz Yisrael. And the truth is, when Moshe Rabbeinu then speaks to the Zakanim, to the elders of the Jewish people, telling them what the plan is, that Klal Yisrael is going to be taken out, and then what? The message to them is also the same thing. The first thing he was told is the first thing he tells them, which is Eretz Yisrael. What's fascinating is that during his conversation, however, with Paro, right, his first conversation, every conversation he has between each of the Makos, he never mentions Eretz Yisrael. The only thing he talks about is Har Sinai. And now the truth is, the fact that Hashem planned on taking us out of Mitzrayim and bringing us to Har Sinai is something that Hashem told Moshe as well. But that wasn't the first thing Hashem told him. What Hashem told Moshe is, I'm going to take them out, bring them to Eretz Yisrael. Then Moshe begins a whole conversation. I'm not worthy. What if they ask questions? What should I tell them? A whole conversation begins. And in that conversation, Hashem tells Moshe, and by the way, if they still have any doubts, you should tell them that they're going to stand by Har Sinai soon and receive the Torah. And then, this is the confusing part. What exactly was the plan? What exactly is the plan? The purpose of Yitzias Mitzrayim was to get us to Har Sinai, or was it to get us to Eretz Yisrael? Again, this is the confusing part. Hashem tells Moshe first Eretz Yisrael, then he tells them about Har Sinai. When Hashem tells the Jewish people, the first thing he tells them is Eretz Yisrael. When he talks to Parai, all he says is Har Sinai. So what's going on over here? Right, so there's a medrash. I think I've mentioned this probably once before, but it's worthwhile to hear. The medrash is like this. It's in Tanad Ve'Eliyahu. Tanad Ve'Eliyahu is a collection of midrashim that is all about teachings of Eliyahu Navi or stories revolving around Eliyahu Navi. So the medrash Tanad Ve'Eliyahu says the following story. A person once met Eliyahu Navi and asked him the following question. He said, Rabbi, I have two things that I mamish love with all my heart. I love Torah and I love Jewish people. It's gewaldic. He said, but which one should I love more? Which one should I love more? Should I love Torah more, or should I love Jewish people more? So Eliyahu Navi responds, he says like this: if you ask people out there, they'll tell you Torah, that you should love Torah more. Torah is number one, and then the Jewish people. But you're asking me. If you're asking me, what I'm telling you is the Jewish people is first and foremost, and then the Torah. So Tzaddik quotes this medrash. And Tzaddik asks, first of all, what is Eliyahu Navi saying? If you ask anyone else, they'll tell you like this. I mean, the guy's asking Eliyahu. I want Eliyahu Navi's opinion. If I wanted anyone else's, I would ask them. I'm asking you, So what's Eliyahu Navi saying that? So Tzaddik says like this. He says the truth is there's two different perspectives on Yiddishkeit. A person can look at Torah, to look at Avodas Hashem, look at mitzvahs in two different ways. One way to look at Yiddishkeit is that the purpose of Yiddishkeit, the purpose of mitzvahs, of Avodas Hashem, is to forge a connection between you and the Rebbeinu Shalom, to create a connection, to create a relationship between you and God, to make you davuk, to make you attached to that which is infinite. That's what Yiddishkeit's about. In other words, the love of the Rebbeinu Shalom, so to speak, for the Jewish people. Like, why does he love us? What is his What's his deal with us? Like, why is he so, The answer is because we have Torah. As the Rebbeinu Shalom charges us, the Rebbeinu Shalom gave us for a reason, because Avram Avinu, whatever the cheshbon is, the Rebbeinu Shalom gave us this mission, which is to connect to the Rebbeinu Shalom, to find ways to connect him. And how do we do that? With Torah. That's what Torah is. In theory, let's say the Rebbeinu Shalom gave Torah to another nation. Then in this model, in this way of thinking of it, in other words, that the human being by himself is disconnected from the Rebbeinu Shalom, and Torah is the way to create that relationship. Well, it just so happens to be that it's the Jewish people given Torah. If another people on planet Earth were given the Torah, then fine, then they would have the opportunity to do so. Okay, it didn't work out. We got the Torah. In fact, the truth is, it's famous. Chazal say that the Rebbeinu Shalom did, on some level, offer the Torah to other nations. Right? They said, "What does it say in there?" And they eventually said, "No." The Jewish people were the only ones to say yes. Okay, so that's it. So fine, we happen to say yes. Now, that type of love, that type of relationship, if you look at it in that way between Hashem and the Jewish people, that could be described as an ahava, as a love. That's tli b'davar. It depends on something. As the Rebbeinu Shalom's relationship to us depends on what? On the fact that we have Torah. That's what it's about. And it says Rav Tzadok, that is true. It's true. And Rav Tzadok says, and this is the mentality a person has to have in the beginning of their avodas Hashem. In the beginning of one's, taking life seriously. The beginning of one's traveling, so to speak, to become the person that they want to become. Then the way they have to go about looking at it is that without Torah, without Yiddishkeit, without avodas Hashem, without the means of climbing the ladder, then I'm on the bottom. That's just the way it is. If I don't have a ladder, then I can't climb out of the pit that I'm in. So this is the beginning of one's avodah. It says, Rav Tzadok, this is what Har Sinai means. Like, what's Har Sinai? Har Sinai means the place that we receive the Torah. In other words, that's the place. Seeing Har Sinai as a destination means that Torah is first and foremost. Yiddishkeit is what makes the Jewish people special. What makes us special is the fact that we have the Torah. So that's what it is. It's through the Torah, because we have Har Sinai. Therefore, because of that, Yiddishkeit, the Jewish people are special and unique. So, therefore, this is the perspective of everyone else, not Elyonavi. So Elyonavi said, what should you love more, Torah or the Jewish people? So Elyonavi said, well, if you ask anyone else, other rabbis, they'll tell you Torah first. Why? Because the entire significance of the Jewish people is from the Torah. It's from Har Sinai. So Har Sinai is number one, and because Har Sinai is significant, because Torah is significant, and the Rebbeinu Shalom gave us the Torah, that's why the Jewish people are significant as well. But Elyonavi was saying, and the reason why Elyonavi says, if you ask them, they'll tell you that, is because what they're saying is true in terms of your initial perspective. But says Rav Tzadok, but Elyonavi was saying to this person something more. He said, but once you climb the ladder, and once you get to the top, you then realize something altogether different. You begin to realize that what? That the truth is, the deeper truth is, that all of Torah was there just to unleash and to give you the ability to access and to find the depth of your own neshama. Rav Tzadok says like this, the beginning of one's involvement in Torah is that Torah is seen, Yiddishkeit is seen as a way to infuse holiness within you. But the deeper way, once you get to that highest, once you discover yourself, then Rav Tzadok says what you then realize is that Torah is in truth a commentary to the Jew. Instead of the Jew being a commentary to Torah, is that listen, you need someone to take it. Torah is the main thing, but you need someone to accept it. So you need the Jewish people. When at the end of the day, the highest level is to realize quite the opposite, that the entire definition of Torah, the existence of Torah, is a commentary to the Jew. And as the Rebbeinu Shalom created the Jewish soul. And what is Torah? Torah is a way to unleash the potential and the power and the holiness that already exists within the Jewish soul. Says Rav Tzadok, this is the process of the Jewish people. We went through this. In the beginning, when we're stuck in a low place in Egypt, we don't even know who we are, nothing. So you tell someone like that, oh, listen, you have everything you need, it's all inside of you. Okay, the person might just sit back and do nothing, you know what I mean? Because they're comfortable like that. So in the beginning of our journey, we have to see Har Sinai as the destination. That's the destination. That's the highest thing in the world, Torah and Yiddishkeit. That without that, we're all lost. If it wasn't for Torah, as a Vadi Bani, I'd be mamish lost in my poverty. I would have nothing. And so you work, you get out of Egypt, and you're thinking about, oh, I need Torah, I need that Har Sinai. Without that Har Sinai, mamish lost. And then you get to Har Sinai. And you grow, and it's unbelievable, it's gavaldik, and eventually then you get to Eretz Yisrael. What's Eretz Yisrael? Eretz Yisrael is the land of the Jewish people. Har Sinai is the place where we celebrate Torah. Eretz Yisrael is where we celebrate the Jew. And when you eventually get to Har Sinai, you then look back and realize, whoa, the entire purpose was really to get to Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael means, what does Eretz Yisrael mean? Eretz Yisrael means that the Jew is the most significant thing in the universe. And the entire creation of Torah was in truth just a vehicle for the Jew to discover what type of potential they already have. And so when the Rebbeinu Shalom looks at the Jewish people, from that deepest level, from the Eretz Yisrael way of looking at things, from the final destination, the Rebbeinu Shalom looks at us as a love that doesn't depend on anything, because we have everything we already need. The Torah is there just to give expression to that relationship, to give expression to that bond, to that truth of the Jewish soul. This is the process that we're seeing in these parashas. The first thing the Rebbeinu Shalom told Moshe Rabbeinu is, well, why am I taking that of Egypt? Eretz Yisrael. That's the deepest truth, and that's the ultimate destination. That the purpose, every effort that a Jew puts in, that a person puts in life to climb the ladder to get to whatever their ceiling is, whatever they think their destination is, the ultimate destination in God's perspective is to get to that place to realize that you had everything within you, to unleash the power of Nishmas Yisrael. That's what Eretz Yisrael is. It's the place on earth that celebrates the Jewish people. But when the Rebbeinu Shalom, and therefore that's the first thing that Hashem tells the Zakenim, the elders. The elders of the Jewish people are already people that they're able to handle the truth. Not everyone can handle the truth, you know what I'm saying? The Zakenim can handle it. And what the Rebbeinu Shalom, what Moshe Rabbeinu tells the Zakenim is that between us, the ultimate destination is Eretz Yisrael. But then you have to deal with Paro. Paro means Paro. Paro means, the Hamoinam, means people that are not holding by high levels. And so Paro, what does Moshe tell Paro? Moshe can't say to Paro, Eretz Yisrael. Because Paro doesn't understand. You're telling me the Jewish people are inherently different. There's something inherently special about them. I don't see any difference. They're workers like anyone else is a worker. No, I don't see a difference between them. So to a Paro type that is not willing yet to see the difference between a Jew and the rest of the world, he's not holding by such a place. He can't accept that truth. So to him, you have to say, in other words, that's the beginning of one's journey. To him, you have to say the reason why you're coming out of Egypt is Har Sinai. It's Har Sinai. And throughout the entire process of the 10 plagues, what's being hit home, what's being driven home is the Jewish people are special. Why? Because of their future. Because of what they're going to accept at Har Sinai. And because that's a type of perspective which makes the Jewish people significant only because of an extenuating circumstance, because of the potential future of receiving the Torah, so that already leaves room for Paro to have a complaint. You know what I'm saying? It already leaves room for Paro to disagree. Because Paro can say, listen, first of all, they haven't accepted the Torah yet. And maybe, and even if they do, it's not necessarily them that makes them special. It could be anyone else. So therefore, the entire process of the 10 plagues, which is about trying to get the Jewish people, it's about trying to bring to the world the truth, the significance of Torah. That's really the truth. And the Jewish people, therefore, are necessary and part of that, in that significant thing that's called Torah. You need a people to accept it. So it leaves room for Paro to be upset. It leaves room for Paro to harden his heart. And even to get the Jewish people to give them significance in terms of being the people that accept the Torah, it has to do with hitting, because it's not be'etzem. What's the chiddush of Kriyas Yamsuf? The chiddush of Kriyas Yamsuf is the second stage of redemption. Is that once a Jew, in other words, what we're trying to explain over here is that this process is not just something that happened to the nation. It's something that each and every one of us have to go through as well. The beginning of our own personal redemption out of the slave pits of Egypt, so to speak, is to first see the Torah as the ideal. Torah is the way out of prison. And my significance is only to the extent that I am there to fulfill the Torah's truths and to bring out the truth of Torah. Har Sinai is the destination. But once you've used that as enough motivation to climb out of the slave pits, then you eventually get to the deeper truth, which is that all of Torah was just there to give a commentary to me. And Eretz Yisrael is the ultimate destination. That's what Kriyas Yamsuf is. What's unique to Kriyas Yamsuf is that you go through Az Yasher, like we say Az Yasher every day. The theme of Az Yasher is that we thank Hashem for taking us out of Egypt in order to bring us to Eretz Yisrael. It's the first time in the entire process of Yetzias Mitzrayim where the Jewish people are talking about Eretz Yisrael out in the open. It's all talking about Eretz Yisrael. It doesn't talk about Har Sinai. No reference to Har Sinai at all in Az Yasher. It's all Eretz Yisrael. So this is the funny dynamic. Throughout the 10 plagues, all that's being said is Har Sinai. by Oz Yasher, all that's being said is Eretz Yisrael, because this is the process. In the beginning, a person needs to be motivated by seeing themselves as empty and barren and insignificant, if not for the fact that we have the Torah. But then when eventually you find the Torah, you then realize that, wait a second, the entire purpose of the Torah was really for me to discover what I already had. But the person has to have that mahal to sort of get there. This is what's going on over here. So Moshe Rabbeinu, in the very, very beginning, is being set up like this. And this is why even to Parai, when Hashem says to Parai that I'm going to take them out in order to serve, in order for them to receive the Torah in Har Sinai, which again, as I said, leaves room for Parai's complaint and what they didn't receive it yet, and maybe other nations can receive it. It leaves room for issues. But the truth is, already in the first statement that Hashem said to Paro through Moshe Rabbeinu is already hinted this truth of Eretz Yisrael, the truth of Kriyas Yamsuf. Because the opening line that Hashem says to Paro is, B'ni B'char Yisrael, that the Jewish people are my firstborn child. And then he goes on to a whole discussion of, take them, let my people come out, and they have to serve me in Har Sinai. It's a funny thing, Mefarshim asks, like that opening line there's no segue. Like the way it should read is as follows. It should say that Hashem said to Moshe, tell Parai that since the Jewish people are my firstborn child, therefore let them out. No, that's not the way it says. It says tell Parai, they are my firstborn child. End of sentence. New sentence. Let my people go in order they should serve me in Har Sinai. Like there's a disconnect over there. But the answer is that's the deeper secret that's being told to Parai. He didn't even realize what's being told to him. Is that although I'm about to tell you a whole story about Har Sinai and Torah is the main thing, and the whole purpose of the plagues is really to reveal the greatness of God and the greatness of Torah, but you should know from the very, very beginning that my ultimate purpose of this entire process, says Hashem, is what? Is to reveal the greatness of the Jew. That's what it's about. See, the 10 plagues is about revealing the greatness of Torah and the greatness of God. Kriyas Yamsuf is about the greatness of the Jewish people. This is why, by Kriyas Yamsuf, the language that the Mitzrayim themselves use when they see the whole splitting of the sea is what? Is anusa mipnei bnei Yisrael. Let's run away from the Jewish people. Because God is waging war for them. But it's running away from the Jewish people. This is what's different about Kriyas Yamsuf and the 10 plagues. The 10 plagues is about hitting against the Egyptians. Because there's a confrontation there. There's a conversation. You're telling me the Jewish people are significant because of Har Sinai. So Parah has an argument back. Well, they didn't receive the Torah yet, or there's other people that can get the Torah. So there's a conversation, and there's a back and forth, and Hashem says, you know what, and he sends Makkos to try to end the conversation. But when it comes to Kriyas Yamsuf, it's funny. Hashem never attacks the Mitzrayim in Kriyas Yamsuf. In Chumash, Chazal say certain things that he did to motivate the horses to get to the water. But there's no makkah. There was no specific, again, in Pshat and Chumash. Chazal say there was other makkahs going on also, but just simple pshat. There was no specific attack against the Mitzrayim by Kriyas Yamsuf. Kriyas Yamsuf was focused on one simple thing, which is saving the Jew. Automatically, Hashem's not interested in saving the Mitzrayim, so the waters fall on them. It's the whole significance of Kriyas Yamsuf. It's trying to reveal a truth which doesn't allow a conversation with Paro. There's no conversation with Paro after that. B'nai B'char Yisrael, the Jewish people are my firstborn. That's it, finished. End of story, end of conversation. If you're telling me that we're special because of Torah, okay, there's a conversation there. Maybe we're not worthy of it. Maybe other people can receive it. B'chulu, b'chulu. But if you're telling me B'nai B'char Yisrael, you told me Eretz Yisrael, not Har Sinai, nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about. It doesn't allow room for a conversation. But this is halacha l'maaseh. This is the process. In the beginning, one's avodah, the destination has to be Har Sinai. If a person has to see in their world, in their life, that without Har Sinai, I'm nothing. But when you get to Har Sinai, what Har Sinai then does for you is that it then gives you the ability to then realize that the real destination is Eretz Yisrael. And it's about the Jew. And the Torah is there to give commentary and to give expression to the Jewish soul. And the Jewish soul is in truth much deeper. This is again, this is even going back to the first Rashi and Chumash, Bereshis bara Elokim, that Hashem created. The first thing Hashem created, what was the first thing Hashem created? So Rashi brings down from Chazal, B'shvil HaTorah Shenikarashes, that the creation of the world was for the sake of Torah, and B'shvil Yisrael, and for the sake of the Jewish people. Which one? It's like, so what was the real motivation? You know what I'm saying? Was it this or was it that? The answer is, it depends. In the beginning of your personal journey, your beginning of your exodus, Har Sinai. Ultimate destination, down the road, it's Eretz Yisrael. It's the Jew. That's what it depends. So Hashem Shadal, we should be Zayich each and every one of us to discover what we have and to be able to use these methods properly and to be able to realize at the right time in the right way what what our goals are, what our destinations are. If we get to that right place, then that next step will bring us to the final next step, which will be Eretz Yisrael with B'yis Mashiach Tzidkenu Meher V'Meinu.
Thank you, Hashem.